Thank you. Again, I think I have to start the welcome note. I'm Kamala Gunawada, everybody, chairman of the Civil Engineering Sectional Committee. Actually, it's truly a great pleasure for me to welcome you for this today's panel discussion. First and foremost, I welcome our president, Dr. Kamal Laksiri, for this session. He will be the speaker to explain the history of the leakage, the remedial measures adopted so far, and the special studies done on this issue. Dr. Jagat Gunatilaka will present the recent geological investigations carried out related to this issue. I welcome Dr. Jagat for this event. Also, I welcome the resource panel today, representing Ceylon Electricity Board, Mahavali Authority, Irrigation Department, National Water Supply and Drainage Board, Disaster Management Center, Sri Lanka Energies, and Mongam and New Hydro Project. Engineer Aruppala, who will be talking on international standards for safety assurance, and Dr. Tilak Simbalapitiya, who is joining online and will be talking about the economic implications of lowering the reservoir. So you both are welcome to the event. I welcome Dr. Asiri Karnavadan, Director General of NVRO, who is present here. Dear participants, without you, this discussion will not be complete. While appreciating your presence here, also online participation, I welcome everyone for this workshop, for this panel discussion. We expect your valuable thoughts and concerns to make this discussion a success. Let me brief the objective of this panel discussion. As of now, welcome, Honorable Dr. Suresh Shagwan for the panel discussion. Let me brief the objective of the panel discussion. As of now, the leakage in the Samanalawewa reservoir has sparked a debatable platform among water professionals and engineering experts along with geologists. Even though a few proposals to solve this issue are cropping up, no reliable engineering solution seems superior. So our focus here in this discussion is to align in many sustainable ways and to discuss. I'm actually brief in the matters we are going to discuss, whether we have identified the correct issue and are we aware of the unseen leakage paths. Do we justify the leakage by using the agriculture outcomes? Do we think it is short term or long term? And are we going on a sustainable path? Is it economical to just let the leakage be as it is? Will it be able to control the leakage forever? Can we do it with the current economic crisis? The discussion will have to come up with a way forward proposal to take up at the decision making forum at a higher level. With this note, I will introduce our moderator for the session, Engineer Mrs. Kamala Das, will guide us through the discussion and the Q&A session. Engineer Mrs. Kamala Das is a product of the University of Moratuwa, and she has served in the irrigation department for 35 years in various ranks, starting with the post of irrigation engineer, and she retired as the Director General of Irrigation in 2015. Her specialty is dam safety. Presently, she is the chairman of the Water Forum of the ISL. Without further ado, I will hand over the session to the moderator to proceed with. Over to you. believe that concise also the case, I think, we have to be more time explaining of this case because during the sessions, most of the presenters will discuss the problems and also the solutions from their side. So, actually, earlier about few months back, Sri Lanka was discussing about Samanalawewa. It is not because of the leakage or anything, that there were a lot of discussions going on about the release of water to the river, the farmers, and also the downstream, for the downstream irrigation agricultural purposes, and what the problem at that time. Now, after 2 months, 2 months time, we have come to another point of discussing the Samanalawewa issue because the water level has gone down to a unprecedented level. I mean, after construction, this may be the first time that has gone to this level. So, our professionals, we are talking about the continuation of the um, okay, continuation of the investigations so far as electricity board has done to arrive to a suitable solution for this. So, with that small introduction, I will show you the agenda today. We Water Forum and ISL invited few relevant stakeholders for this discussion. We call it roundtable discussion, even though there's no roundtable here. Anyway, there's a small roundtable. Anyway, most of the resource persons are there in the audience. The first speaker will be Dr. Kamal Laksiri. He will speak, as Kamala mentioned, about the history of the leakage, and that is the area we have given. We expected him to cover up. And then Dr. Jagat Gunatilaka. I will introduce each and everyone separately. Then we invited Ceylon Electricity Board, Mahali Authority, Irrigation Department, National Water Supply and Drainage Board, Disaster Management Center, and Sri Lanka Energy's mini hydro company, Mulgama Mini Hydro Power Project, and also Engineer Arupala and Dr. Tilakshmi Balapitiya. So we have actually to address the issues elaborated by Engineer Kamala Gunawardana. We thought of covering up these issues within this short period, even though it may go until maybe 2 hours will be not enough to discuss these things, but we are trying our best to cover up this subject as much as possible because this is the high time. I mean, there's a very short time for us to prepare a note to submit to the government as the prime engineering organization, professional institute, our views to the government at this crucial situation. So now only a few to housekeeping notes. There will be, you can see there is a Q&A session at the end of the session, about 10 minutes, where audience here will be given time to talk or express their views. And also, we kindly request all the online participants to post your suggestions, questions, or anything to the chat box. So there is our supporting team here. They will note everything, and as much as possible, we will try to give the answers within the session, or else usually we will cover up all these questions and your concerns in our paper. We are trying to finalize
maybe within 1 or 2 days time. So I will first call upon our first speaker, Dr. Kamal Laksiri. Mm, There's no need to introduce Dr. Kamal Laksiri anyway to this audience, but as a formality, I will introduce those who gather here. I will say know him very well, but as a formality, I want to remind the long association of Dr. Laksiri with Samanalawewa while serving, during the construction period itself. And then, while serving as the president of the Institution of Engineers at the moment, he is the governor of Region 10, American Society of Civil Engineers, vice president of Sri Lanka National Committee of Large Dams, and past president of Association of Consulting Engineers Sri Lanka. Currently, he is the project director of Morogolla Hydropower Project. Dr. Kamal Laksiri, your time. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you, especially our State Minister. Thank you very much for joining with us today. And also sorry about the delay we faced at the beginning, some technical issues. Online members, I hope you all can hear and see the screen. We have about 120 online members. Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you. Now, it's a challenging task to tell the story of Samanalawewa in 20 minutes. I will try my best to explain you the story. Let me start. Yeah, this is the I think that of the presentation set up today. About the Samanalawewa project, I think you all know one of the major power projects in the country. It's on the Wallaby River. So mainly for power generation, but we have a small irrigation component that is the feed the Kaltot irrigation scheme made during Minister B.S. Ranaka's time. So also this project, like all the other projects in the country, studies since 1960s by the Russians, Australians, Americans, we have the other local irrigation department. So many studies were done, but as usual, because of the funding issues, we could not implement the project till the 80s. So 1986, during President J.R. Jardin's government time, we could secure funds from UK and US, Japan. So major component came from Japan, and we could implement the project. Project executing agency, Ceylon University Board. We had the international consultants from Japan, Electrowat from Switzerland. Sorry, here it's missing the local partner, CCB, along with the foreign consultants. Then here we had the arrangement design engineers, that is a separate design engineer from UK, the leading company at that time, Alexander Gibson Partners. The contract was for the project was a joint venture by Hajima Kumigai Hasama, all from Japan. So this is the Samanalawewa layout. It's actually the Russians gave the name Butterfly Lake. So the Russian butterfly, you have to look at the reservoir, the we have the Wallaby. Okay. Now, this is the Wallaby River. I hope you can see the top. Yes. Okay. So this is the Wallaby River coming, starting from upper plains, coming down like this, and come to. So sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is Belihula, coming down like this, and then we have the Wallaby in this side. Valavi and joins at this point and comes down as the Valavi. So it's a two tributaries, Velihul and Valavi. And we have built the dam just downstream of the tributary. And that forms the reservoir in both sides, along the both arms, and we call this Samanalawewa reservoir because of the shape the Russians gave. And if you look at these upper plains and the elevation difference between the upper plains here and the down here, it's about 300 meters. That is the head we use in the power generation in this project. And here, another specialty is that the intake, you can see here, normally our intakes are located at close to the dam, but this one is 7 kilometers upstream. The main reason, as you can very well understand, to shorten the tunnel length. So we have the power stations here. After power generation, we release water to the Kaltota Patupatkoya, another tributary, and finally joins the Valavi. So this is the layout. This is the beautiful view of the dam taken during first spilling in 1998. About some details about the project. It's a 105-meter high dam. Catchment area, I think this data you can see, one of the biggest reservoirs in the country. So the reservoir extends up to the Balangoda town, 8-kilometer long reservoir when it is at full supply level. And it feeds the 120 megawatt Samanalawewa power station, one of the main power stations in our system. And it can generate 405 gigawatt hours of energy annually. Then let me come to the proper geological aspects. I think we have geological experts here, Dr. Gudega, but I will briefly mention. So this one, the rocks belong to the Precambrian metamorphic rocks, very old rock types you find in the earth. And especially if you look at this problem, the right bank, the geology was very complex. So subjected to faulting, that is natural cracks in the ground, and the folding, that is bending kind of thing. So this changes the characteristics of the ground. And especially in this site, we found surface caves. I will show you some photographs, and the permeability is very high at the deeper levels also. So this is also a special feature. And then another specialty we observed is the flat grounded water level in the mountain, and it's responding to the river. So when the river changes, the water level in the mountain also changes very fast. But at that time, we have to admit that we failed to understand all these features. But these are typical features you find in karstic geology. I think we can hear more about it from our documents later. Then this is a cross section to show you. If I take it across the reservoir and the leakage, you can see the number of stratas, different rock types you find. So you can see the complexity. And then these are the caves I mentioned, the natural caves. Close to them, we found 6 major cavities like this, and they were treated. I think there are, in the audience, you'll find some engineers who worked during that time. So we found 6 major cavities like this close to the dam, and we can see one more. So, but when you come to the dam foundation and left bank, the geology was totally different. I explained with the diagram. Now, this is a cross section across the dam, across the river, along the dam axis. Here you can see the you can see now this is the left bank of the dam. This is the right bank. This is the spillway. These vertical lines are the consolidation grouting. That is, we inject normally in a dam foundation, we inject cement. We call it grouting and strengthen the foundation. Here you can see in the left bank and the foundation, so nominal requirement was very sound, very solid rock. When you come to the right bank, you can see geology was very weak, and we had to drive 4 tunnels. You can see adit number 1, A at top, B, C, D. We had to drive 4 adits into the mountain and route up and down. So that shows the weak geological conditions in the right bank. And also I want to reveal one fact here. The initial studies done by the Russians, here you can see the 2 diversion tunnels. Now, since this is an embankment dam, you can't have joints. So we have to divert the river and construct the whole dam at the length. So they are originally Russians proposed these diversions tunnels to be located in the right bank. The idea was to do more investigation and we could have tackled the problem at the very beginning. But after awarding the contracts, what we did, we said, why to do tunneling in the difficult ground? Let's move to the good ground. And we failed to understand the philosophy of Russians actually. Maybe, I don't know whether we understood them or not. Somehow, that is the last chance we missed to understand this problem. If we had drive the tunnels here, we could have decided the fate of the project at that time itself. That is history now. So then you can see the difference between the right bank and the left bank and the foundation. The geology is very. Yeah, then we discuss about the leakage problem. Then we started the dam foundation excavation right about also dam with the excavation. We found the weathering, that is the weak rock is spreading much more than we thought. Then found during the investigation. And also this abnormal groundwater level. Abnormal means the groundwater level is responding to the river. That means indicating that there are predictions with the river. So, but still, so there were various opinions. Japanese, British, and the local. That time, our giants like Singha, also KKYW, all were there in the decision-making process. So, different arguments. Then everyone finally agreed, okay, let's go for a trial impound. The simple thing that we would do, okay, let's fill it and see whether it leaks. The Japanese were confident that they said, no, it will not leak. The British were in the opposite. Finally, we decided for a trial impounding. And then in June 1991, we started to fill the reservoir while the other works are going on. But unfortunately, we could not fill the reservoir just when it reached 16 meters water depth, the soil started to leak. It was obvious that it is going to leak. So it was the first evidence. Then we had to stop the impounding, that the reservoir filling, and we planned for the remedial measures. So then I will explain the first. Yeah, now this is the again plan view of the reservoir. You can see the dam here. It's a Wallaby. It's a Wallaby River. This is the Bellyhul, and then this yellow dot you can see is where the first leakage appeared. So you can see in the left is a baby leakage. Small, it started as a patch and then started to seep. Finally, after 1.5 years, it developed to this state. So I think there are still here in the audience, including myself, who witnessed seepage. Then then the consultants, everyone discussed about the issue. Now it's very sure now it's going to leak. So how are we going to tackle it? Then came the first solution, the first remedial measure to construct a grout curtain across the right bank and cut off the leakage path. I will explain about in the next diagram. So we constructed one of the largest grout curtains in this country, I think 1.3 kilometers length. It's 100 meters deep, and it consumed 13,450 tons of cement. That is the equivalent to the cement we use for this Rantebe Dam. And it involves 54 kilometers of drilling to grout. So it started during 1991. So I will explain this. The idea is now again, you can see this is a plan view of the site. You can see the dam at the corner with various geological strata. So the idea was the objective that time the consultants explained or they established. You can see the 3 lines, F1, F2, F3. Those are called the folds. Folds number 1, 2, 3. The natural cracks on the ground happened million years ago. And so the idea, we established that, okay, the water is entering into the mountain through these cracks and comes out as the leakage. So the idea was to, okay, let's cut off them with a barrier. So this red color one is the grout curtain in the plan view. So we wanted to cut all three folds, and then we extended it up to the dam and connected to the dam, so that dam and the whole curtain has a barrier to the water flow. That was the idea of the grout curtain. Now, if I do a cross section along the grout curtain, you can see this is the mountain top. And so this is like a wall underground, right? So you can see this dark, and this is the grout curtain. So to construct it, we had to drive a tunnel inside. We drive a tunnel like this, to descend, and from there upward and downward, we injected cement. And you can see also, you can see these windows. These are where the rock was very good, sound rock, so we did not require grouting. All the other places, grout was weak. We had to inject cement and grout it. That was the idea of the grout curtain. But again, that time the consultants decided, okay, 100 meters is sufficient. And that is how the depth of the grout curtain was decided. Then we did it, completed. And again, the plan view, if I show you can see this shape of the grout curtain. We did it like this, but there were a few other folds, so to cut them also, to cover them also, we had to take a shape like this. And you can see these tiny numbers. Actually, with the construction of the grout curtain, we installed piezometers, or the pressure gauges. We wanted to monitor the effectiveness of the curtain upstream and downstream. So we installed number of, you can see, SP1, 51, like that, DW. So both upstream and downstream. Theoretically, if the curtain is effective, you should not get a pressure downstream, right? That's very clear, I think, to all of you. And then we completed the grouting and spent that time 2 billion rupees. Same contract, and the Japanese funding agency OECF, that is now the JICA, those days the OECF, they funded, they extended the loan, and we got the money and completed. And in 5th March 1992, Honorable Chandra Bandara, then Power and Energy Minister, came and started the official impounding of the reservoir. But unfortunately, the leakage continued to grow amidst the presence of the grout curtain. So we did not care about the massive grout curtain we built inside the mountain. We observed as before, no change at all. And at the same time, the groundwater level in the mountain also started to go with the reservoir. And then, so there are various discussions. Still, the consultancy, it will stabilize, and different opinions. We continued. One fine day, we were watching this. I think guessing is here. We were watching this. 21st October 1992, we were at site. Suddenly, a huge burst occurred. And when the reservoir at 440 meters, that is 20 meters below its full supply level, huge burst occurred in the right bank because we could not bear the pressure. And in a weak point, the burst occurred. Then with that, the leakage flow increased suddenly. I will show you some photograph. And with that, the pressure released in the right bank. So the pressure dropped by 10 meters. So that indicated the grout curtain failed to leakage. So this is it's like a road daylight landslide. And with that, a lot of people downstream, they were scared of, they thought the dam will go. The dam breached, and a lot of people left the houses, and there were a lot of panic, and had several issues there. So this is another photo during that time. Yeah. Then with that, the leakage, this is the leakage portal, that tiny patch within hours became to this level. That's what you see at present. Actually, this video is not working. Maybe. So this is the downstream of the leak, and then further down we have measuring where we measure continuously monitor the wear. monitor the leakage flow rate. So there's the wear we use for that. Yeah. So during that time, that during burst incident, you can see the water level was rising like this, the inflow, river inflow, and the groundwater level also started to rise following the river level. With the burst incident, you can see suddenly the water level dropped like this and bounced back and stabilized at a lower level with the pressure relief. But that time, actually, even the consultant, we all could not understand, could not explain why it was like this. And then you can see that even the bottom graph is the leakage. Leakage suddenly increased to 7 cubics and reduced and stabilized at somewhere here around 2 cubics. Then the famous commission of the government appointed commission. There are various investigations, a lot of things happened. And for a period of from that happened in 1992 to 1998. So then the Japanese government requested us to maintain the reservoir level at the lower, safer level. So we had to maintain the reservoir at 430, that is 30 meters below the full supply level for about 6 years. On their requirement, they were very much concerned about the safety of the dam. And then we were doing monitoring of the leakage, and also at the same time, the funding agency, they funded for various other studies, study further how to tackle this problem. So we did seismic reflection survey, that is geophysical surveys on the riverbed, the water chemistry studies, further geological investigation. At the same time, we could, by that time, we had commissioned the power plant and we continued to generate power, but at a lower capacity. Then finally, by 1998, again, we were ready for the second attempt. That is the famous wet blanketing. So again, the Japanese government extended a loan by another 2 billion. But that time we phased it out into 3 components, and we have by that time it was a controversial project, and there were a lot of it's also the hot topic in the media as well. So the famous earth blanket construction started in 1998. I'll explain it with the diagram. So they are the idea of the consultant established that, okay, earlier we said leakage is taking place through the cracks, the falls. No, now it's through this river bed, and that area we will seal it with earth blanket. Actually, it's very correct if the ingress area are well identified. So with the studies I mentioned, the water chemistry, geophysics, we identified a 700-meter long stretch, about 1 kilometer upstream of the dam. And so the idea was to cover it with the, by dumping earth, selected earth, on that using bottom open pipe barges. I will explain further like this. Now, earlier we tried to cut these falls within the mountain itself. Now the study established that these 3 falls cross the riverbed within this stretch. And so the suspected, okay, the water is entering from the riverbed, not through the slope. So let's seal this with the earth blanket. That was the idea of the wet blanketing. And so again, another diagram. So these are the specially built barges, 2 bottom out open pipe barges. So this is each with 125 cubic meter capacity. You can load earth to this, and they move to the location, and you can open the bottom so that it will go as a lump. And we control the moisture content, and we did some piles. So as a lump, it will go and hit the bottom and block the leakage ingress point. That was the idea. But yes, so we started and we completed it. We dumped along the whole 700-meter area. Again, it's no response at all. So we were wrong for the second time. Nothing happened. All 700 meters covered, no response from the leakage or the groundwater pressure. In the consultants, we all discussed that. We thought, okay, let's dump in other areas on a trial basis. And we started to work downstream from the sealed area. I'll explain with the diagram. So then accidentally we hit one location. We in the map for our identification purposes, we numbered them in blocks. So the area called block X, once we put dump on the block X, immediately the leakage started to respond. Leakage reduction was very small, but the groundwater pressure reducted by 14 meters. It's a it's an achievement of the wet getting. So it was now here you can see it again. Go back. So this is the ingress area. We tried here, nothing happened. Then we started to work down straight, come like this up to the dam. So this block takes somewhere here in this bend. When we dump there, it started indicating that there was an ingress point. It got blocked with the dumping. That's the only achievement with the blockades. Then we tried all the other areas, and after several months, stopped the with blanket ration, and the allocation that time we had 2 billion, but I think about half a billion we saved as we did not take the full amount. Okay. Now again, if I is the groundwater level and the reservoir level variation, if you look at, you can see we you see a similar behavior again here. With the reservoir level dropped, the groundwater levels have dropped and bounced back, as we observe in the our burst incident. But still, we could not understand why it is behaving like this. And then after that, wet blanketing suspended in 1999. Till that date to today, the leakage was continuing, and there's a difference between the reservoir level and groundwater level. So they both move with the maintaining a gap. Actually, this is one achievement, because when you have high groundwater pressure inside the mountain, it leads to burst or the earth slips. So this way, the safety was ensured to a certain extent. But then in December 2006, suddenly one night, I think, suddenly the erosion occurred in the outlet, the leakage outlet. And with that incident, again, the groundwater level dropped by about another 10 meters. So that actually, without any control, it happened, indicating that due to flow erosion, happened. So then, as at present, I think the figures are different now. We have to calculate the reason, but since then, the leakage is maintaining at the rate around 2 cubic meters per second, and is maintaining a gap with the soil level. And we are monitoring how generation is continued. No other remedial measures were done. Then, so basically, the remedial measures failed. Why? We have still failed to understand the leakage mechanism. We don't know. We only see what is coming out. We don't know from where it is coming, entering. So it's very interesting. I think we had international panels. Many studies, but we failed to understand the mechanism. Then, since that time to date, the number of studies were carried out. Isotope study by the Atomic Energy Authority of Sri Lanka, and also an analysis I did during my postgraduate studies as a postdoc. Then the geophysical studies by the Professor Andy Hughes from UK, and then the sonar studies by Deep Sea, the local company, and then sonar surveys again by Dr. Gunatuleka from Sabaragam University. I think he's supposed to join us. And then the recent findings by Dr. Jagat Gunatuleka from Perak. So we listen to all this. Let me explain how I analyze this problem, but I will not cover the whole thing as limited. So there basically I conducted the groundwater behavior study, considering from the initial impounding to the date, the long data record we have. So I studied the groundwater level behavior of all these. We have a large number of boreholes from the close to the dam to up to a distance of 2 kilometers. So they are the interesting things. All these boreholes, those are near the dam, and those are far away from the dam, move at the same time with the reservoir. So indicating that we have a huge underground reservoir in the mountain. But still, this data, we did not, I mean, uh, during that time, I think the consultants also could not use all this data. So during my studies, when I went through all this data again, I found this very interesting behavior, linear relationship with the groundwater level and the reservoir water level. And you can see here, all the boreholes behave in similar pattern, but one particular borehole behave differently. And similarly, uh, these are the, we have, I said, large number of boreholes. So these are the inside the mountain, and these are close to the abutment. They all show a linear relationship, but with slightly changing gradient. So then mathematically we can say like this. Then I calculated all the gradients of all these boreholes, and I will not go into detail. But if I now here you can see those are from far away, and then you can see now this is the blue one is with the burst incident. They were almost at the same level, and with the at the beginning, and then with the burst incident, it come down to with the wet blanketing, it come down to the second. This red level, and then with the 2006 burst incident, it come down to this yellow level. But at the same time, you can see few holes do not follow that pattern. They behave differently, but we didn't see that during any of our initial planning time. So they say something, they give a message, but we failed to catch that time, or we didn't see. Then so basically we call it in geological aquifer. It's a huge reservoir in the right bank, and it's like another reservoir. And then mathematically, I try to see this where we can get this type of linear relationship, the groundwater level and the reservoir level. So I will not go into details. And then also using the same result, I made an assessment of the cross-sectional size. Okay, if you are making a model or the prototype, so what sizes we need to maintain this much of pressure and the flow rate. So you can see the areas now, these are matching with the what we see in the outlet, and also they reflect the various incidents. Now is the inlet and outlet sizes we had, and with the wet blanketing, you can see outlet did not change, but inlet changed. I'm not saying these are the sizes, but in this scale it happened. And when with the 2006 incident, the outlet increased, but inlet didn't change. So, but still, this data also indicates that it's following this model. So again, very interesting is the with this two reservoir model, we can explain this type of behavior. You need this type of you can see the pressure drops suddenly and bounce back. So this we can and similarly, if you go to the buckets, here also you can see this behavior, this one. So all these could be explained mathematically with this type of model, and the transition curve, mathematically we can fit it like this. So, and another interesting feature was from the initial impounding, you can see the reservoir and the groundwater behaves with blue and yellow colors. You can see going like this, but then this point, in the elevation between 420 and 410, you can see this, they join the other boreholes. So this also says something, but though we fail to understand at that time. So this also an indication that the major leakage inlet is located in between 420 and 410. I'm sorry, actually there are a number of other slides to explain this, but since the time constraints, I will not go into detail. So if you look at those boreholes behave differently, you can see that they are all located close to the dam in one stretch. So this indicates that there is a possibility of a leakage channel lying close to this. So that's why the gradients of these holes would change in differently. And if you look at the two reservoir model, the connecting channel, if you look at the points at the the channel, you head from the first reservoir to other one drops. So same possible phenomena is indicated. So then that indicates that there's a possibility that there's a major leakage channel lying at this point. And then the next study, the physical study we did by the Dr. Viraj Girisingh from the Atomic Energy Authority. So again, he has a separate presentation. He was supposed to attend today, but he could not come. So I have copied these slides from him with his permission. So this is the area we suspected, and the ingress areas are lying below 450, 15 elevation. And so there, what we did, we used injected iodine 131 because the dye test will not for huge reservoir. You will need gallons of dye if you are to use, but isotopes are with this, we use only 10 milliliters. With that injection, we injected. Now this is how we injected. We had a piping arrangement and we injected at this suspected elevation, 215 meter elevation, and this is during, you can see Dr. Viraj in the figure, in the picture. And we could find isotopes coming out from the leakage. So this is a kind of first-hand evidence we got from this isotope study that there's a major ingress lying in this area. And then I can show you some photographs. This is a typical karstic geology. I said karstic channel, that is in a rock mass, when you have limestone, they get decayed with weathering, chemical weathering, and you can learn more from Dr. Gunapilekar. It leaves natural channels. And this is the type of geology you can get in karstic geology. So this is typical of Samanalawewa, and then this is a very interesting one from Croatia. This is a dam built in Croatia. During construction, they identified the channels in the riverbed, the karstic channel. So what they did now, these channels are connected to an aquifer up in the mountains. When the mountains water level is high, they feed the reservoir, so they get the advantage. And they are fitted with non-return valves. You can see one-way valves. You can see the size of a valve with the size of van. So other times when the level goes down, it will leak. So with valve get closed, then the flow stops. So this is Samanalawewa also. It's a typical karstic features we have. And the conclusion, what we can say, it's not widespread seepage. Actually, at the very beginning, there was an argument. The whole reservoir bed is leaking, and you can never be sealed. But this, if it is so, this groundwater and leakage water relationship could be exponential curve mathematically. We can show that. Why do you get linear relationship? That is because of the unique inlets. So this is a very important conclusion we could make. And so this is not widespread seepage, leakage through unique inlets. And we could also make an assessment on the index, and also with the behavior we observed, we find that there are major inlets located at 450 meter elevation. And this is supported by all the studies by the Atomic Energy and even Dr. Gunapilekar. Now recent finding, they all indicate elevation wise we are at a level down. Then we have lately we found sinkholes. I think in the media you saw. Before that, we found this type of sinkholes in the mountain in 2004, as I remember. But again, we lowered the reservoir below these sinkholes. The leakage reduction is very small. So they are contributing to the leakage, but it's very small, less than 10%. So you find this, but this can get seen with time. But still, we have major ingress contributing 75% of the flow at a level. So these are the various tests we did that time. Some more photos. So these are the studies I mentioned earlier, I think. So finally, my conclusion is that this can be sealed. Give us an opportunity. So what are we asking? So after a long time, the reservoir reached 424. You know the power crisis in the country. We can't drain a reservoir. It's very difficult because Samanalawewa is one of the important power plants feeding the down south. But still, after impounding, after 20, 25 years, we got disappointed. We saw the drought came to its lowest level, but then our request is to lower it another 10 meters. And the storage is about 20 MCS, but that can be stored in Udawale for irrigation. And with that, we can seal this, we can see the inlets and we can seal them off. So I think with that, I have come to the conclusion. We can continue the discussion. Thank you very much. Okay. It took some time. 392, I think. 300.
Thank you very much, Dr. Laksari. It reminded me your lecture like a doctor going down the hospital ward, a consultant, and then the staff briefing the history. But here, the consultant and the junior doctor, everything within you. So, okay, actually, this is a sick dam, I must say, in terms of the dam engineers' vocabulary. And out of the 120 large dams in Sri Lanka, this is the most sick dam. Unfortunately, when the dam gets old, only this type of sicknesses arises. But here, at the infant stage itself, unfortunately, we came across this. That is why we are trying our best to fix this as much as possible. Otherwise, in some other countries, what they propose is decommissioning to do the dam. So this type of history is needed definitely to record and to find the remedial measures. Thank you very much, Dr. Laksari. I would like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Gunatilaka. He will cover up the recent geological investigations done. And I will invite Dr. Jagat here. Doctor, I will introduce very briefly, even though I asked him bio data, he didn't send me, so I just got down from his website. He's deeply involved in the investigation works of Samanalawewa geotechnical investigations as a member of investigation in Peradeniya University, and he's a senior lecturer of the Department of Geology in Peradeniya University and coordinator of 2 MSc programs at the Postgraduate Institute of PGIS in University of Peradeniya. So there may be a lot of students who will tell about his credentials here at Phil. Yes.
Thank you, Engineer Bhattara. Yeah, actually, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to explain what we have done, and thanks to Dr. Laksari, my very good friend. And actually, some of the slides I'm using actually the results of the recent study that the Ceylon Electricity Board has given us to the Peradeniya University, particularly the engineer Kapila Navaratna. Yeah. Yes, just before starting, of course, I have to tell on the comment made by Engineer Bhadra that as this is one of the sick dam, I would definitely say the dam is very healthy, but the right bank is sick. Right. So, this actually, Dr. Laksari has done a very elaborative presentation, so that I will skip some of the slides that I have because he has explained them, some of them. Right. So this is the Belihulloya and Walaveganga, and during very dry season, you can see the small amount of water coming along Belihulloya and Walaveganga, and just before impounding during construction of the dam, just diverting after diversion of these both rivers through this diversion tunnel. Well, actually, at this time, the volume of input to the reservoir, or both flow of Velihullu and Valave, are much less than 1.6, or minimum inflow is 1.65 cubic meters per second, whereas the present leakage is 2 cubic meters per second. So you can see that the leakage is much more than the inflow to the reservoir during the dry season. So this shows the location of the cavity that Luxury has shown on the right bank. So this is the thick right bank. So diversion tunnel. So this is the same cavity and crystalline limestone. And this is at 370-meter elevation, whereas the river is at very close to that elevation. So during the high floods, the water used to go into this adit, or not cavity. Right. Okay, this is the dam axis of Samanalawewa Dam. So you can see edit A, B, C, D along the dam axis, Luxury has mentioned, and it is a rock and earth fill dam with central clay core. So this is halfway constructed. So this is just after construction, and actually this has been taken very recently. So you can see the so-called irrigation outlet, which is very controversial some time back, why it is not being opened and so on, giving water and so on. Okay, so this is the right bank, which is highly pervious ground. So this is the leakage, main leakage, up to about 2 cubic meters per second, depend on the reservoir level. When the reservoir is at the higher level, of course, this become 2.34 cubic meters per second, whereas at present, it is about 1.8 cubic meters per second. And so on. So, right bank is view from downstream. You can see the location of the main leak here, about 350 meters downstream of the foot of the dam. So, entire right bank is highly pervious ground, which is just like honeycomb structure. That's how even the consultants have identified it. So, this is the wet blanketing operation. The Luxury has already explained, so which is block X. During wet blanketing, result came only from this block X, covering block X area. So this is the recent drone image taken. Sinkholes, the sinkholes, 6 sinkholes have been exposed while the water level was reduced recently. So the so-called block X is also here, and there is one access adit constructed to construct this main routing tunnel. There. Right. Okay. Main leak is here. So I have enlarged the very critical area where the sinkholes are appeared here. Or the sinkholes on the left bank of Valave upstream. And this is called access adit, adit G. Later on I'll explain, as this is the main cause of the leak, main ingress of the leakage. Whereas these are the boreholes that have been drilled on the right bank. Almost all the boreholes, there are about 45 boreholes which have been drilled since then. So all these showed the same water level as the river level before impounding. So just after impounding until the major water burst happened in the 1992, October 22nd. Yeah. So all the boreholes showed the same piezometric level, that is groundwater level. So mainly this entire right bank is divided into two as area A and area B. Why it is divided is area A boreholes showed the same groundwater level as the river level before impounding and after impounding as the reservoir level until the main water burst. Exactly same without any difference. But area A boreholes marked in this blue color showed no response to the reservoir level or river level before impounding. That's why. And geologically, these two areas are quite different. So, crystalline limestone or marble or hunugal that is appeared in area A. But if the same rock is continued to the area B, that hunugal or calcium carbonate portion is completely dissolved. No calcium carbonate is exposed or found in any of the boreholes here. So everything has been dissolved by a particular geological process called hydrothermal alteration. So that there are several evidences for that. That's how this entire right bank became highly pervious ground like a honeycomb. So that's why, so this the dam and the this is the grouting gallery, and you can see this is a groundwater contour map of flat piezometric level. So everywhere, almost all the boreholes showed the same groundwater level. So that's why it is called flat groundwater table on the right bank, area B. This is the evidence. In area A, when you drill boreholes, you can see these boreholes with crystalline limestone or calcium carbonate, marble, hunugal, so-called hunugal. That is white color part. But when the same rock is extending towards the area B side, all this white part is already completely dissolved away. So only cavities resulted from that are existing. So these some of such cavities are filled with cement, grouting, and so on, highly pervious ground. So some fractures also are filled, actually tight fractures in area A, whereas when they go to area B, they are highly pervious and open fractures and so on. So another very strong evidence is fault breccia. So along some locations where the faults, movement of rocks have taken place, you can see fault breccia. This is some very good textbook example of such fault breccias. Fault breccias, you can see the foliation plane or the direction of these rock blocks or fragments are oriented in different direction. That's a clear evidence for a fault zone. And water burst during 1992, as it was well explained, water level dropped by 20 meters, 20 plus meters, and later on stabilized with 10-meter difference with the river level. Except for few boreholes in area A, like GW9, it was showing the same reservoir level as unlike all other boreholes in area B showed the same response to the reservoir level, but with 10-meter difference. So these are the boreholes, GW6, 16, 19, etc. They didn't show any kind of response to the reservoir level, changing reservoir level. So this is the model that we have proposed. So sorry. So the edit G that I have shown is the access edit to construct this routing edit. 1.85 kilometer long routing edit on the right bank. To construct that, this is the access edit uh, constructed from the reservoir side. So after completion of this routing and everything, they have plugged this with the 10-meter plug at this end. But unfortunately, or still we cannot think why the experts or why the people, they didn't think of closing this, because this edit is completely unlined. Not only unlined, this edit crosses several folds. I'll show you the geological map of along this edit. So I was proposing that this should be the main ingress for the Samanalawewa leak. So I propose to drill 2 boreholes to show that this water level in the edit should be exactly same as the river level, whereas all the other boreholes on the right bank showed 25-meter difference with the reservoir level. So that we did these drill holes, 2 drill holes, and exactly we identified the same reservoir level in these 2 boreholes. And actually, it is true that there are some ingress at the bottom of Wallaby River. Block X would have been one major point, and the sinkholes in upstream left bank of Wallaby. Sinkholes are located there. We have done several investigations over there using some boreholes and some auger holes, and found that the groundwater level over there is much less than the reservoir level. So it is impossible. Usually, it is very unusual. That explains that the water through this water ingress in the these sinkholes, water going under the Samanalawewa reservoir and coming even below the grout curtain and coming out from the main leak. So 3 main ingresses: unlined edit G, Wallaby riverbed, and sinkholes. So we have tried to model this leakage, the reservoir and the right bank. This is the grout curtain at the center. This is upstream of the grout curtain and this is downstream of the grout curtain. There are highly pervious ground in the right bank. So there are large aquifers on right bank and upstream and downstream on the right bank. All these are very well interconnected. So that is the thing we can conclude that all the boreholes showed the same groundwater level, even before the impounding and after the impounding. So even the boreholes that have been drilled up to the bottom of the grout curtain, much further below the grout curtain, also showed the same behavior of the groundwater level or same piezometric level. So we have simplified the model as thinking only the 3 major ingresses: sinkhole, edit G. Edit G is simply facilitating a passage into the into the right bank aquifers. So this is very easily water can migrate into the right bank without any problem. So these are the 2 boreholes we have done, SJ2 and SJ1. They showed the same reservoir level. And just before the burst of first burst in 1992 also, it showed the same groundwater level. But these boreholes have been drilled in last 2 months before. So now I'll show you just after the burst. Just after the burst, there was a 25-meter difference with in the groundwater levels on all the boreholes with the reservoir level, except for the recent drill holes done as SJ1 and SJ2. They showed the same level as the reservoir level, which clearly indicate that there's a free passage through edit G into the right bank and then into the aquifers on the right bank. So justification to that we need to remedy the leak for the safety issues. So that has been done mainly by analyzing the behavior of right bank piezometric levels, which is actually groundwater levels, through the monitoring holes. So this showed the representative borehole, that is GW2. GW2 is representing all the area B boreholes out of these 45 boreholes and so on. So behavior was almost same. So initially, up to the major water burst, gradient was 1. That means exactly same as reservoir level. On the day of the burst, it dropped by initially 20 meters and later on recovered, and it was behaving like this. So when we see the history of the behavior of this piezometric level on the right bank, we can distinctly identify 4 different events. That's how, until the first burst, then the second burst, the second line, there are, of course, reservoir was raised up to the top level, full supply level, 459.93 and so on. Then during wet blanketing, again, this water level was dropped by another 15 meters. So again, they were behaving like this. And the second burst occurred in December 2006, when the reservoir was at full supply level. That it is 24th November 2006, 460 meter full supply level. So all of a sudden, the right bank groundwater table or piezometric level dropped by another 15 meters. So after this second water burst. So then water was behaving, groundwater table was behaving like that, and we can see gradual change of the behavior. Now this shows 22 to 23 recent behavior of the piezometric levels. So according to this, we can expect another, actually, when the water level dropped, yes, it is good for the right bank stability. But this indicate gradually this water level is rising up compared to the reservoir level. So that in 22-23, this has been like this. So in 2019, reservoir level was raised up to 457.37 with the very high rainfall and so on. So this clearly shows that we have to expect some other burst or third burst in maybe 2024 or 2025 or 2026 and so on. So I want to make the CB afraid of it and make the remedial measures done. Yeah. So this also shows the ground GW2 borehole, how this has been changed in 2008 when after the second burst, it was changing like this, behaving like this. Well, 2012, 2016, 19, 22, maybe when it goes, what levels rise in 2025, because the trend is there. So we can expect 2024 or 2025 another burst. So there are, in between, there are some boreholes which does not have much response, that is area A boreholes, GW6, and some boreholes in the ground routing edit, that is RBS 4610, etc. Their values are read in by the analog meter, so that the accuracy is much less. That's why the behavior was little not so beautiful and so on. That's why we propose during our recent study, accuracy and frequency should be increased, so that we have used digital modules. Digital modules have been installed so that we can take readings at every 30 minutes, or even if we need during critical situations, we can even get the readings within every 5 minutes or 10 minutes and so on. So also for the boreholes, we have as a sample, we have selected 5 boreholes which are very critical, and we have installed similar digital modules so that we can get information very frequently and very accurately. So that is the first time we have, I think, done in Samanalawewa. So this shows these digital sensors, digital modules. So frequently we can get this. So these are the digital modules installed for boreholes, right bank boreholes, GW7, GW8, 15 is a 10, which is very closer to the leak, main leak. And this GW8 and there's a GW18, which is about 2 kilometers away from Z10. But both are showing the same groundwater behavior, elevation, groundwater levels. So this is the so-called added G tunnel geological map. Actually, we, myself and Mr. Bandar also have contributed during our, when we were doing our job in Samanalawewa during constructions in 1988 to 1990. So this shows these brown areas indicate highly weathered condylite rock and fault zones. These 3 fault zones are being crossed along this added G, and this is the added G portal, and only this part is plugged with 10-meter concrete at the end. So entire section of this adit is exposed to the reservoir water, and these joints, open joints and fractures, holes, they are quite open, and very easily water can migrate into the right bank. So these are some detailed views of the same adit. So you can see the occurrence of some pegmatites, which are very good evidences for faults, occurrence of faults, and some cavitated crystalline limestone bands, etc. Likewise. And then we have done, so then we were very sure, we were actually about, I would say 100% confirmed about the occurrence of this leak through this adit G, main CP, main leak. That is, we expect more than 75% of the leak, main leak is through this adit G. So it is almost very close to expose. During that time, it was only, even today, it is only 12 meters below the reservoir level, the adit G portal. So actually we did divers. We using divers, we got some direct observations. They did the video and still photographs, etc. Here, so that we could see that adit G is completely open. It has not been closed. And whenever the divers just touch these walls of the adit, it started turbulence, right? Some with some dust and all this. All the dust used to go inside the tunnel. Nothing has come out from the tunnel side. So there is a flow towards the tunnel. And we did dye also, dye test. We inserted the dye into the adit. Actually, we could not see anything came out from the adit G portal, because everything goes into the adit. But as Dr. Laksiri mentioned, this dye also would have been dissolved in a large reservoir, large aquifers in the right bank, and so that we could not detect it from the leakage, main leakage, or the other piezometers that we have monitored very closely. So we have done some resistivity surveys along the reservoir periphery across this adit G, and that also showed very clear behavior of the filled water in the cavities and the this is sinkhole. This is the right bank, edit G. Edit with surrounding water. Groundwater table also could be very well predicted there. The same way we have done resistivity survey in sinkhole areas also. So this is the way the same sinkholes that have been used to monitor how much of water going inside the sinkhole. So usually it should be the water level should be same as the reservoir level, but when the water is sent to these sinkholes, water quickly diminish, so that infiltrated into the ground. So you can see here. So once sandbags are placed here, you can see quickly water dropped in the same sinkhole. So sinkholes are distributed in about 10-meter elevations along the reservoir periphery from 438 meters until 427 meters. So the lowermost that have been exposed so far is 427 meters, but there must be several more even below 427. So these are the sinkholes. So when this is exposed, and we try to measure the rate of the leakage into the sinkhole. So actually, at this elevation, it was about 1/600 of the main leakage. So in such case, there should be 600 of such sinkholes to provide sufficient water to the present leakage. But the real infiltration would be higher, much higher when the reservoir level is up higher. So this is the way we have did some studies, and we pumped water into some sinkholes and mixed with dye, but they, as mentioned, it was not detected from the leak or downstream. So this is the latest sinkhole that has been exposed by 13th August, was at 427 meter level. Actually, recently, when CB was trying to estimate the seepage rate into these sinkholes, fortunately or unfortunately, these sinkholes have been collapsed and naturally sealed. So now, of course, there is no seepage from these sinkholes at this moment. But interestingly, there is no difference of the right bank reservoir levels or leakage rate. It is both are same. That's why I propose the total seepage from these sinkholes must be much less than 10%. So I would say less than even 5% or 2%. Yeah. Same pipe. Yeah. Just below the reservoir and going connected to the right bank. Yes. They have completely neglected. Yeah. Okay. So this is the area where the sinkholes are distributed. The uppermost sinkhole is somewhere here. Sinkhole, and then these sinkholes are 1, 2, 3, 4 like that, and the one I have shown you is here, somewhere here. So actually, recently, CB tried to open up more sinkholes just to understand where they go and so on. But as I mentioned, fortunately or unfortunately, everything was collapsed, and now no more seepage from these sinkholes. So we did some resistivity survey along the sinkhole, a line along the sinkholes as well. The sinkholes 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. And geological mapping also confirmed is only a part of the map. I have just extracted from the geological map that our geology undergraduates have done in the last month. Of course, that is not yet finalized. That's why. So the sinkholes are here, and the Chanokitic gneiss and calcareous rock band is extending over there under the reservoir bed over there, and it also going very closer to this added G area and going into the right bank. So this would have bring some of the water from these sinkholes along this rock band into the right bank, other than the added G, which should be carrying more than 75% of the seepage ingress. So some drilling investigations also have been carried out on this sinkhole area, as well as, yeah. So remedial measures proposed for reducing the right bank leakages. So we propose sealing of the adit G, which is abandoned adit. It is estimated that more than 75%, it can go up to 90 or 95% even, of the leak can be reduced. So if we reduce that 75%, suppose we reduce 75% of leak, it is estimated that 200 million rupees worth electricity can be generated within a month. So per year, more than 2 billion rupees worth of electricity that has been estimated by the CB engineers, of course, and it has been confirmed by some experts, Dr. Tilak Sembalapiti and so on. He will explain it, right? And so we propose lowering of the reservoir below 415 meter elevation and carry out concrete lining for the adit G. That is the most permanent and most long-lasting mitigation measure or remedial measure. Or otherwise, lowering of the reservoir below 415 level until this adit G is exposed, and that can be filled and compacted with a suitable clay or clay soil completely. The adit G can be complete. So the estimate I will show you. So with this concrete lining, the volume of concrete will cost only about 45 million rupees and so for required concrete volume. So shuttering and all these, they need extra money. So we can say within 100 million rupees, we can do this mitigation measure, mitigating the complete sealing of the adit G. And we can generate, by doing so, we can generate 200 million worth of electricity additionally by this leakage water within a month. And then the sealing of sinkholes on Wallaby upstream left bank, that is already being carried out, and contribution from these sinkholes is much less than 10%. As I mentioned, it must be less than even 2% of the main leak. That's why at this moment, all these sinkholes have been closed, exposed sinkholes, but no response to the leakage, main leakage rate or the right bank groundwater level, metric level. So this is the proposal of sealing of the adit G. So we have only very little time, maybe within a month, it has to be completed because Samanalawewa reservoir cannot be emptied for more than that. So that we propose this first, these two walls, left and right walls can be lined with simple lining, because this need not to be very smooth lining and all this. So we have to somehow, we have to seal it. So late after that, this roof or crown area can be sealed, or concrete lining can be done. So minimum, or not minimum, 30 centimeter thickness, thick concrete would be well sufficient for sealing it. So it is 4.5 meter wide and 4.6 meter wide and 4.5 meter height tunnel. The total concrete volume is 1,260 cubic meters necessary for lining in case of 30 centimeter lining. If it is 20 centimeter lining, it is much less. In case of that, 44 million rupees worth of concrete, only the cost of concrete. So that can be, actually that is estimated by at site, just at the portal of the edit, total cost of concrete volume is 44 million. So that we can simply pump into the tunnel by pipes because edit is going inclined into the right bank. So within the pump car itself, that can be done. So this shows these fault zones along the edit G, the three major fault zones. So this is the concrete plug made at the end of that. So this is the routing edit, which is very accessible even at any time, even now. And electricity, everything is there. So we can drill a hole through this plug to give the utility facilities into the this edit G, maybe sufficient diameter of hole can be drilled, power electricity, and even if they need high pressure water and so on. Right. So this is the second option, filling of clay, completely clay filling. So it is roughly after compacting, it is about 5,000 cubic meters. So it is 3,880 cubic meters after compaction. So loose volume would be 5,000 cubic meters. So this shows this, maybe the last slide. So this shows this edit G, and the borehole is at when the reservoir level at 450 meter at high levels. So all these boreholes in the right bank showed this elevation, low elevation, whereas this SJ1 and SJ2 boreholes drilled showed the same as reservoir level. The water is just ingress water going into the right bank and going underneath the grout curtain on the right bank and coming out at the main leak. So these are the edit A, B, C, D, the luxury has shown on the right bank as grouting edits, but they have not been used because of the right bank, high porosity and so on. That's why this particular edit was used to grout. So these actually, so these are the three folds, main folds appeared or identified along the edit G. They easily facilitate migrating water into the edit, into the right bank. So these, when the water level was dropped in the last month, of course, only, or even today, only 12 meter water level should be dropped to expose this edit G portal. So that if it is exposed, whatever remedial measures selected can be applied. So still water is going, infiltrating into the right bank, but we'll see what will happen when the water level is dropped by another 12 meters. Then the edit G will be exposed, and all the water in the edit G will go into the right bank aquifers. So it will get dried within few hours, so within few days time. I hope within few hours time, right? So the water level also will be, interestingly, the edit G bottom level is here. The main leakage outlet is also at the same level, 392. It is interesting. Actually, 392 bottom of this edit G level as well as the leakage outlet. If the water goes beyond that, there will not be any leakage. Except for the small amount of
කාලෙදී අපිට වැසු වතුර rain water harvesting. No. අන්ධකාර කාලෙදී මේ ව්‍යාපනයේ ප්‍රධාන ගැටලුවක් තමයි අවශ්‍ය කරන වර්ෂාව විශේෂාචාරයෙන් කරලා තිබෙනවා වගේ rain water harvest කරන්න තියාගන්නේ නැහැ ඒගොල්ලෝ. High rate of evaporation. And rainwater comes suddenly. Purnia is the last highest point of rain, and then it flows through to Vadamarachi and then falls into Tondabanaru, where a Dutch governor had built a dam, kind of a break. So we are trying to hold it, the water, during the 4 months and see whether we can tank. And I spoke to Japanese ambassador, and he pointed out and gave lot of material. Okinawa island at the same thing. So out of which we found that we couldn't, because we were looking for cavities to pump the rainwater, later extract, right? Subtly heal the ground. That was our simple theory. Now, I'm no engineer, right? I'm telling my engineers, why don't we think like this? But then we found that there are in Jaffna, the urban province, the surface level is so kind of hard, but below that, very soft, in your language, I don't know what they call it. And there is fluorescent gas, fluorescent gas. It's a thick gas, apparently, very thick gas. And that has an interplay between the waters. Because this water gets blocked and then leaks outside. And when the water is thin, so I don't know. I'm just thinking. I'm just sharing my ESA knowledge. There could be. I mean, this area is historical. At least, because Dharmegala has said 38,000 years ago there were remains and all those things. Could it be? That's why we can't. Because I raised a finger when you were talking. I want to ask whether you did dye testing. Now, these are your areas. I'm damn fool even to raise this question. But then you said yes. Then you also said we did nuclear test also. So those tests have been done, but the results are not coming. Could it be? Could it be there is a gas plate, a trapped gas capsule, which is making this? Because I was listening very carefully to you. You systematically pointed out, saying the interplay between the reservoir level and there is absolute undeniable correlation here. So how does that can happen? And then you raised, I think, that there is conduit. Conduit works only because there is a small gas filled in, no? That's how this keeps on. I'm no engineer, I'm just foolishly talking. Just think, right? I'm thanking for you inviting me. I think 109 people have been waiting for 2 hours. I thank them also. But as a public servant, I can tell you, Professor Luxury is making his efforts. Let's try and see what the parliamentary committee can give you. And I pray all what we can do is that it is not 25, it is far behind, but we have to act. We have to act. Then the mode ප්‍රශ්නය මම අහන්නේ ඔය ලීක් එක කොහොමද කරනට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැද්ද? CV කට්ටිය නම් කියයි ඕම් බහැරෙන්නේ කියලා. මම කියන්නේ එහෙම තියලා පුළුවන්ද? ඒක නැත්නම් ඉරෝෂන් ලෙවල් එකක් ලොකුට තියනවාද? කඩාගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්ද? නැත්නම් ඕක ටයිටනික් කොට දාන්න ඕනේ නැහැ නේ අපි.
ඕක unstable leak එකක්. It cannot be keep like that. It can kill people one day.
Okay, so we'll continue. So this the predicted situation upon lowering the reservoir level by another 10 plus 3 meter up to added G portal level. So we can expect all the water to be water in the edit G should go into the right bank and it should be empty, regardless of actually whether there may be some leak seepage from the bottom of the Wallaby and the sinkholes, which will be much less than 10% of the main leak. Yes, that's all about what I wanted to explain. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bhagat. Actually, I will define the fault as RB abutment fault, which is a part of the dam headworks that we call it. So, similar to the various investigations for a patient, this is a very important area of investigations for this sick dam, geological investigations. So, it is like a scanning done, and we have done a very comprehensive set of studies. I'm sure CB may be very happy about the outcome of the thing going on. So, thank you so much for presenting your ideas, views on behalf of the investigation committee so far, and we hope better results will be there for all the consultants to go through it and taken your proposals also into the final remedial measures. So, in our invitation list, the next speaker should be from the Ceylon Electricity Board. So far, we have not got the nomination. Actually, I'm not sure whether there is anyone here from the Electricity Board to present their views here. So, please, you can see anyone coming up. So, I will take the next speakers from the Mahavali Authority. They are representing Udawalawe. I must thank the two engineers who have come all the way from Udawalawe to present the case, the Tilak, engineer Tilak Ranasinghe and also engineer Vijay Karivasam. May I invite you to come here and make your presentation, express your concerns.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to all of you. And when we discuss about the Udawalawe Reservoir, it is having 1,176 in catchment area, out of which 342 is belong to Samanalawewa. So the rest 884 is depending on the value of Katubatto and the Kudawaya, directly with the reservoir, Udawalawe Reservoir. And the Katubat, the power release of Samanalawewa is released to the Katubattoya, and rest of the tributaries of Wallaby is directly come to the Udawalawe Reservoir. So when we come to the discuss about the cultivations of the reservoir, the reservoir is having the active capacity of 240 MCM. So the cultivation requirement is about 1.5 of that 140, maybe around 360. So Mr. Tilak will explain about that. So I must say that mostly in the yellow season, the rainfall and the inflow to the reservoir is very limited in most years. But the uneven behavior shows in some years unexpected inflows have reported, but in most years from April to from May to September has a minimum rainfall. So during that, the reservoir capacity may be a little bit lower than the maximum capacity once we start the cultivation season. So when that, we need some commitment from someone to release the water to maintain the cultivation season. So we will explain about that. So that's one. And Scott will explain about the downstream management.
Thank you, all of you. Actually, I mean that is in downstream development scheme. Our command area is 25 hectares. Among this land extent, more than 15,000 million paddies, those rates. So, uh, normally we complete the yellow season, we need more than 370 NC. So actually, we start our yellow season April 20 with 148 NC available in the Valor reservoir. So we expected some more rainfall in the area, but actually, unfortunately, we couldn't get that. Normally, we expected 370 millimeter rainfall. Actually, it was 192. That means 52%. So that is the main problem we got that time. So normally that due to that problem, so we have to get the water so from the Samanalawewa. Samanalawewa, they send the water first, but not in the right time. That's the main thing. We got the water, but we asked some water from some days, but they didn't give it right time. So that is, yeah, this is the reason for destroyed more than 6,000 hectares destroyed. So that's our main last crisis.
Like I wonder why you are not worried about the any impending consequences if there's a disaster actually.
Master upstream. So actually, madam, I think so. Yeah, I mean, we expected that this time we couldn't get some more rainfall. So, but that is but our extent, by the extent is more is that normal one. So that's the main reason for it.
Okay, you are talking about the pH. I'm talking about the other end of the story. You are talking about the minimum water, the availability, and I'm talking about the flood situation. Anyway, we'll see how we have to combine all these things together to make the clear picture. That's all. What have you done? Okay. Thank you very much. I'm sure you would have gathered a lot of information during this session, and also definitely we will consult you in future when you prepare this note for further information. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Bangalore. Then I want to invite from the irrigation department. Director General of Irrigation has nominated Engineer Purnagedara, Director of Irrigation in Colombo Range, who is responsible for looking after the water management in Kaltata and Katapattoya, and also Engineer Sudarshini Damapatirana. Is she here? Please, Sudarshini, come forward and make your points. Yeah.
Thank you, madam. Good evening to all. I am Director of Irrigation, Colombo Range, carrying about the water management of Calcutta scheme. By the way, that Calcutta farmers, or Puranagam and Edi farmers, they are saying that the leak has given by the road to assure their vote rights, Siberian rights. That's their belief. With that, I will start my small short presentation. Calcutta schemes, it's about 2,260 acres of irrigable lands, all these lands were paddy lands. It's the LB main canal is 2.8 kilometer long one. There are 696 acres of paddy lands, including 3 farm organizations. RB canal is about 11.4 kilometers, 1,564 acres. There are 8 farm organizations. This is the scheme map of Katupattu scheme. This is Samanalawewa, and this is power station, and this is Katupattu. Katupattu, this area. After the power station, Katupattu will get water by cogeneration, and it's about 1,000 acres. This is the water requirement of Altote area from Samanalawewa. Now it is most of this getting by the leak, and last few months ago we get another 1 meter cubes per second from irrigation outlet from Samanalawewa. This is the average rainfall received. If average rainfall received, it is considered as a normal rainfall year. This is the requirement, October 0.5, like that. This is the full requirement of throughout the year, and maximum requirement is about 3 meter cubes per second in the month of June. Wet weather means it is extraordinary wet year. Then this much of water is required throughout the year. There are also 3 maximum at the month of June. And if extreme dry weather, this is the requirement, 3, and also maximum water requirement is about 3 meter cubes per second. Then for Kaltura's scheme, actually for domestic purposes, 1 meter cube per second for 10 days in the month of March, it requires for the use of the person in both canals. Same as in month of September, also same quantity of water requires for 20 days. Actually, this water is used for the 3rd season. Mostly green gran and some other oilseed cultivations are there. For both domestic and 3rd season, we need this much of water. The other way, the environmental requirement is required from Samanalawewa to downstream of Palavi. Here. This is the total water quantity required for the year. As I earlier explained, if it is an average rainfall year, 51.28 MCM is required for the total year. And if it is wet weather year, it is lowered to the 32.53 MCM from the Samanalawewa reservoir. If it is dry weather, it is 74.04 as we calculated. We calculated this all the things with our past data and experience. These are the reasons to use this much of water. First thing is that in two areas, Valipatayaya and Demodara area, all these paddy fields are sandy soil paddy fields. Therefore, our water consumption is more than the normal quantity. That is the first reason. And the second reason is you can see there this paddy fields are located along this Valavi River. There are short strip Valavi River and the main canal. This length is high. It is 11.4 kilometers, and it is located. It is situated as a by geology. It is a strip. Then we can't reuse water. There are only 4 or 5 land plots along the canal, and the rainwater just drop to the river. Then we can't reuse that water. That's the main reason, main 2 reasons to use this amount of water during cultivation period. We have some proposals to use this water efficiently. Actually, if we can improve the water canal system by lining or some other means, then we can deliver more efficiently and we can save some water. The second thing is actually now we have difficulty with laborers. We have not enough laborers to operate gates and to control this water issues and do proper water management. We have not enough laborers. Then if we can increase our laborers and labor forces, we can do better management with this available water. And the third our proposal is install more gauges and controlling and monitoring devices to control this water. By the way that the water is just dropped into the river level is lower than the paddy field level, then we can't reuse that water. If there is possibility by solar or any other means pumping, we can use try that method also in future. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Kurumedara. Sudarshan, do you have any concerns? Thank you very much for giving this chance to express our views regarding quality scheme. Actually, quality scheme at present totally depend on this water totally. So we are so worried about when to the scheme and how to get our demand for the irrigation output from the Samanalawewa reservoir. As Director Colombo expressed, mostly our usage of water is somewhat higher than the our normal irrigation scheme. So one thing I noticed that that river level is somewhat lower than the normal our irrigated area, cultivated area, and that slope is also very high. Because of that, when we send water to our RB canal, that water goes to the paddy fields and quickly flow to the river. Because of those things, it takes somewhat higher, consume high water than the our normal scheme. So those things I want to add that. Thank you very much. Thank you, Darshani. Anything I expected you to talk about the inundation mapping. Below because CB has not done inundation mapping of, as far as I know, I'm not sure if wrong, you can correct it. So I'm sure as both irrigation department and Mahavali should be should insist on that, because those are the things, areas that really get affected if something goes wrong. With that comment, I thank both of you for sharing this, especially regarding the water management issues in the irrigation schemes coming under the below the just below the sunlight level. Thank you very much. Then we invited National Water Supply and Renewable. I can't see any member here from the water board to express their views. And Disaster Management Center also, we contacted the Director General of Disaster Management, but there was no good response from them. Most of them are in a series of seminars these days. And Sri Lanka Energies and government mini hydro project. Yeah, can you please come over here and sorry, Mr. Jason, I didn't get your details earlier.
I'm DD Singer, civil engineer. I'm doing representing Nature Energy Development Private Limited, who is the owner of Mulgan Project. You can remember, I think I could someone have a diagram. Diverted water from the tunnel to Samanalawewa station, we enter the Wallaby about 23 kilometers downstream of the dam. So in between, there are two principal stations. One is multiple irrigation scheme. The other thing is cooling area, cooling floor. As I explained then, irrigation requirement is in some period exceed 3 kilometers. According to my observation, for the system of cooling floor, you need at least, I think, 1.2 kilometers. With the believing these two things, we decide to build a near the project in between Samanalawewa Dam and the irrigation scheme. Our weir is located about 4 kilometers downstream of the dam, and power plant is 6 kilometers from the dam. We have very small segment, about 15 square kilometers. And for design floor is 5.2 km. Knowing that the irrigation requirement and everything, our design floor was set to 5.2 km. I think so far we managed to get plant factor between 47 to 50%. So I think our design flow is, can be justified. So we are operating with 70-meter growth side, and install capacity is 2.8 meters. Annual production, we expected about 14 gigawatt hours, except in 1 year. The second years, I think we manage only up to 12 gigawatt hours. So, as I said earlier, the requirements of the environmental release, I think, you need 1.2 units for the waterfall. And our irrigation engineers explained that in a normal year, I think 2 months, January and February, except January and February, you need at least 1 unit. So I think my observation about 1.2 minimum irrigation flow requirement is incorrect. Say your leakage is average 2 units. I think it's vary from 1.2 to 2.8. So if you assume your average leakage is 2.2 units, then your downstream requirement is 1.2. So by seeding, you can save, I think, about 0.8 units for a period of, let's say, I'm not say only for 2 months, let's say 150 days. So with my calculation, I think your saving will be about 10 MCM. Oh, let's say 10 MCM to 20 MCM. Samanalawewa reservoir water has a potential, I think, from 1 MCM, you can produce 0.77 gigawatt hours, roughly. So I think from 20 MCM annual saving, you may be able to reduce, let's say, 10 to 15 gigawatt hours. I think Dr. Jagab mentioned that we can save 200 million gigawatt hours. Sorry, not gigawatt hours. 200 million rupees worth of electricity. So I don't know. Do you have any idea about the gigawatt hours? Yeah. Yeah. Not, that is different. Now, what I'm saying, by saving 0.8 leakage water, I mean, if you seal the complete leakage, still you have to discharge 1.2 km. That is my assumption. That's my assumption, right? So by doing that, you can save 0.8 units. I mean, 0.8 units minimum. Yes. So, yeah. Yes. Okay. Nevertheless, you issue all the fastest in your endeavor to seal the leakage for the sake of national interest. As I think I must mention that I also work for Samanalawewa project with GCB as well as report by consultant. We know that suspended solid of the leakage water is zero. That is no erosion generally. So during that time, I think we calculate chemical composition and they predicted there won't be any enlargement of the leakage area. So therefore, safety of the dam was right bank is not a problem. So I think you have to, you have to think twice before before implementing any expensive program is usually. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yusuf, for your views. I'm sure we are talking about the economic, reviewing about the economic analysis. And but at the same time, we must see what will be the implication when some disaster happens. That is what we are thinking of at this moment. So in our schedule, there are two more presentations, but it will be short, I'm sure. Next speaker is Engineer SRP Arikpala, who is joining us from Bigana. Actually, if I introduce Engineer Arikpala, he is a chartered civil engineer with experience over 35 years in the dam sector. He is the former director of major dams in Mahawali Authority, and he involved in construction supervision of different kind of dams, tunnels, and associated structures in Sri Lanka, including the initial foundation investigations of Samanalawewa Dam in 1986 to 87. So I'm sure he will add those background information to this presentation as well. He was involved in instrumentation analysis, trend observation, and upgrading the dam monitoring instruments of existing dams. He is a member of the dam inspection review team of World Bank assisted project and has experience in risk analysis of major dams. So actually, we invited him to represent the Sri Lanka National Committee of Large Dams because he is a long-serving member in the council. Engineer Arikpala, can you can talk?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening to everybody who is participating for this very critical event on the safety of the Samanalawewa Dam and downstream areas. Really, what I want to share with my experience about the risk and safety of the dams. The Samanalawewa Dam, I think, is safe, but its right back is at a very critical stage, to my understanding. It is operating nearly about 30 years with a risk. So I think what really we are doing, building a dam, is we are working against the nature. Really, once that we work against the nature, we really to keep our eye on the safety of these structures, but that we build across. And basically, to my understanding, the nature has signaled us in 1992 and 1997, I think, there is a risk. So have we taken it properly is very important to know about. And also the nature has given us an opportunity now, letting the dam to go to very low levels for us to attend for this. But if that we have not taken this message in timely, there will be, to my understanding is, will be another kind of the disaster which never happened in Sri Lanka. And I must thank first Dr. Laksiri and Dr. Jagat Gunatilaka for their very extensive and continuing studies, but they have come across and that they managed to confine this one to a certain reasonable solutions at this level, to my understanding. Because once I attend to many international conferences about the dam safety, I met many karst geology specialists in the world, and I discussed with them about the problems that we are associating with the Samanalawewa right bank. But they said the karst geology of that dam is very complicated, cannot feed easily. So what their assumption is that almost all the right bank, as that our geologist and Dr. Laksiri very clearly mentioned, are resting on the columns of the limestones, which huge cavities in between filled with a very porous material in between. So once the water happen to ingress through these columns as the gypsum or the limestone or the calcium carbonate, this will start to dissolve over the time. We never know what is happening inside, and the overburden might not be able to take in the long run. After 50 years, sometimes maybe the strength of the columns like thing cannot stand, and there would be huge the collapse inside. That means that called the implosions, what really we are experiencing in the dams, but this might happen on the right bank. So we have to be very careful about the structure, and I think we should not waste time to attend for this repair. And whatever the cost that as they calculated, I think is very less than the cost that what we spend for the wet blanketing and all, and the time and all things. So then, but by the time, what really was we talking about the ICOL conditions about the safety of the dam, we are monitoring the dam very well, nicely, instrumentation and the piezometer readings and the settlements and everything that we are monitoring. But have we taken any emphasis on the stability of the right bank to monitor real time? We have to consider, to my understanding, we have to consider this also as a part of the dam. And then we need to monitor. There should be a proper real-time geodetic monitoring systems to fix on the surface of the right bank, just above the slip, and to see us whether that the things is moving or things is settling down over the time, real time. Because we can use the latest technologies, engineering instruments to read this one. And also what that some international experts said, the trigger on the earthquake, with a very, very, very slow acceleration, there might be huge collapse inside. If something has happened, what could be the consequences? That may be about 10,000 million meter cubes of water per second will start to flow down. That goes down the Duvilialla, down there to the Wallowa Plains, and then the Udawalawa Dam would definitely be overflow, and then that might also be collapsed because this is a dam. I'm not going to be too exaggerating the things, but this is the things what has happened, because we are talking about around 200 million meter cubes of water on the second plane of the Sri Lanka. Because now that what happened in the Libya for the earthquake and the rainfall, we are talking about 22 million meter cubes of water. Now this is about 10 times higher than this. So we should not take this as a simple thing. Scientifically, and also that the risk analysis, this says there should be a huge risk that we are operating with. We should not take this as a very simple thing. We have to immediately install the suitable kind of the instruments to measure real time, and if we can check the water quality of the water flowing out from the right bank to see the calcium content, whether this is increasing timely, and whether there is any correlation between the reservoir calcium and the calcium going outside, so we can get an idea about whether this inside is dissolving or not. And as well as the emergency action plans that, as you very correctly mentioned, have to prepare and have to update and have to keep a good communication from Samanalawewa to Udawalawa real time. Because this kind of the disaster would happen in the rainy season, definitely. Because the soil is soaked with water and there may be no resistance, there is high tendency to go slips and down. Should have to have a proper communication, because the water wave would flow very fast down on the wet surface and the water sheets. Therefore, the damage would be very high. This is what that I want to talk from looking at the the risk and the safety of these dams and the people downstream. Really, what we have to start is first to have some kind of the monitoring and to immediate some kind of the plugging system, what that they have identified, Dr. Laksiri and Dr. Jagat Kunapilaka mentioned. Thank you very much. This time, because I have very limited time, I want to share with the international standards of the dam monitoring. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Arupala. I'm sure, yeah, we would have allowed you more time, but the thing is, there are a lot of long list of presenters here, so we just want to get a gist of what we know. Thank you very much again, and reminding about the Libya disaster. There are a lot of communications going on from the International Commission of Large Dams. People are talking, and there are a lot of analysis going on. And we receive a lot of emails and messages about that. So with that, I would like to go to Dr. Tilaksi Mlapiti's presentation next. He's also joining us through Zoom. Dr. Mlapitia? Yeah, okay.
Yes, do you hear me well?
Yeah, thank you. Doctor, so there's no need again to introduce Dr. Simlapati to the audience, but for those who have not come, he is an electrical engineer with long years of experience in electric utility planning, and he is presently an energy consultant. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Good evening to you. I will be very brief since you are struggling to manage time. So the topic assigned to me is economic benefits of the proposed remedial measures. So I will move on. You have seen this diagram many times. I will skip this. All of you are now familiar after several hours of discussion on the subject. But I would like you to take a look at this diagram. This is a water flow schematic of the area, simplified to meet the requirements of the economic analysis. So as you see right at the top, Walaweganga and Belihulloya join up at Samanalawewa Reservoir, and we have the dam. And from the intake, water flows to Samanalawewa power plant. And there is a low-level outlet, which has been discussed quite a lot, which was expected to meet the irrigation requirements of the Kalthota irrigation area and elsewhere. And shown in red is the water leak. And there are two mini hydros, as we have now learned. And the Mulgama mini hydro was represented by the gentleman who spoke before me, as well as there is another mini hydro by the name of Samanalawewa mini hydro. And what you see as data alongside all these assets is, say, for example, Samanalawewa mini hydro was commissioned in 2016. It has a capacity of 1.2 megawatt, and it produced 6.1 gigawatt hours per year based on the last 3 years of published data by the CEB. So, of course, finally, the outfall of the Samanalawewa power plant, as well as any incremental flow, joins the Walaweganga, and the Walaweganga continues. So that's the water flow schematic. Of course, of interest to us is the water leak, which is shown in red, and the quantities that have been measured are shown underneath inside each box. So I will move on. So once the civil engineers, geologists, and safety specialists discuss and debate, as well as irrigation engineers recommend remedial measures required from a safety and stability points of view, there is, of course, a professional way to assess whether the proposed remedial measures make economic sense. So it's not just some numbers, but there is a method of doing that. So the interest to us here is on economic benefits to Sri Lanka, not necessarily to any party or an institution, and not even to CEB, because finally it is energy that is served to the economy of Sri Lanka. Of course, we can separately find out the benefits and costs to CEB and the benefits and costs to other users of the water. So let me straight away move on to my analysis and the results. So what this slide shows is basically on the first line of the table. The leakage estimated to be 2.2 cumex now. And after rectification as proposed by the geologists, we estimate that it will be brought down to 25% of what it is. And then, of course, as you see on the next column, water release is required to meet the irrigation commitments particularly. So presently, there is some additional releases going on top of the leakage. We estimate it to be annual average to be about 0.17 cumex. And of course, therefore, 2.2 plus 0.17 is 2.37 cumex of water annual average is bypassing the Samanalawewa power plant. So therefore, a quantity of 75 million cubic meters per year is bypassing the power plant. Of course, even after you rectify the leak, there has to be additional releases from the irrigation outlet. So therefore, still, after you rectify, there will be a total of approximately 50 million cubic meters bypassing the Samanalawewa power plant. So therefore, rectification of the leak to a level of 75% should roughly save about 25 million cubic meters per year, which will now be available to produce electricity in the Samanalawewa power plant. So these are the numbers that are the basis of my calculations. Of course, a lot of discussions have gone on about the irrigation requirements and the leak. Just take a glimpse of this picture. What it basically says is that even today, there are incremental irrigation releases, and even after we plug the leak to 75% down, there will still be irrigation releases to meet the commitments of the downstream water users. So now, there are two mini hydropower plants that are built, that were built after Samanalawewa, and they are now using the leakage and irrigation releases to produce electricity. So, but then what we have to remember is that the rate of water use for electricity production is lower in Samanalawewa CEB power plant when compared to the mini hydropower plants. So Samanalawewa requires only 1.3 million cubic meters for a million units of electricity, whereas the two mini hydros require about 3.5 times of that. That is about 4.3 million cubic meters per gigawatt hour of electricity production. So you would agree with me that water saved in the reservoir certainly will produce more electricity than it would have done if it was allowed to flow downstream as a part of the leak or as a part of the irrigation release. So moving on, so the net energy benefit of additional generation of Samanalawewa, based on the numbers I presented just now, will be 19 gigawatt hours per year. But then there will be energy lost from both the mini hydropower plants, which is 5.8. So therefore, net energy gain for Sri Lanka's power system is, in our estimate, 13.2 gigawatt hours per year, a very conservative estimate. Of course, how much 13.2 gigawatt hours per year is worth is, can be calculated in different ways. So if we go by the most expensive CEB power plant, which uses about half a liter of diesel per kilowatt hour, you see the answer right at the bottom. 164 million rupees every month will be the equivalent saving from this quantity of electricity. So it's slightly less than Dr. Jagat's estimate, but it is closer. But I personally would like to make even a little bit more conservative estimate. So now there is another requirement, assuming that the experts finally recommend in their strongest terms, they seem to be saying so, and the government agrees to proceed with the rectification. We have been told that the water level has to be dropped by a further 10 meters. Of course, when you do that, the reduction in water quantity in Samanalawewa will be, in our estimate, 20 million cubic meters. So therefore, it will cause a loss of 15 gigawatt hours of future generation, because you are letting water out of the bottom outlet to lower the water level to conduct the rectification work. So we should not forget that one as well. So now, what happens? So the net energy benefit to the grid is a minus in year one because we lose water to lower the level. But thereafter, every year, there is 13.2 gigawatt hours saving and produced into the grid. And then I would like to take a more conservative cost estimate of what is the value of a kilowatt hour saved. My estimate is 60 rupees a kilowatt hour based on the most efficient diesel power plant in the system. Remember, earlier I used the most inefficient diesel power plant, but I would like to be conservative and I assume the most efficient diesel power plant, which costs about 60 rupees at the prices that prevailed 2 weeks ago, not yesterday. So therefore, estimated saving will be 919 million lost in the first year, but gain every year thereafter will be approximately 800 million rupees, estimated very conservatively every year for as many years as you like. So I've done the present value calculation at a discount rate of 10%, economic discount rate for a period of 30 years, and I get an answer of 6 billion rupees of present value of the benefits. Now, of course, as I say very clearly, I have taken a very conservative approach, very cautious approach. So if there is any doubt of any figure, I give the benefit of the doubt to maintain the status quo. So that means not to do anything. All right. So therefore, the fact that I have used a 10% economic discount rate, that discount rate, I also say it is too high, and I have used it only for 30 years. And 30 years, one might say, no, the dam will live for much longer. We have dams that have been used for 50 years, 70 years. So therefore, why not use 70 years? So whatever I do on top of these figures will increase the benefits, will increase the benefit number. So that's why I wanted to be conservative. So that's the economic analysis that I would like to present for your discussion and consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samanalawewa. Within this short time given to you, you have done this excellent analysis. I'm sure we can improve this with more reliable figures. I'm not sure whether you have considered the power that can be generated through Udawalawa when you release the water to Udawalawa. Udawalawa is now during low level. So I'm sure that.
Can I give a quick response? May I give a quick response? So my quick response is no. I have not considered the incremental electricity production in Udawalawa as well as incremental electricity production by the two mini hydros if and when you drop the water level by 10 meters to start the rectification work. So that additional benefit I have not considered. So once again, what I say is that my economic evaluation is the most conservative, and the benefit estimate is the lowest. So anything else you calculate will improve the economic benefits.
Thank you very much again. I'm sure this will add very rich information to the ISL report. So our presentations are now over. We have to invite the panel for a Q&A session. Actually, we have allocated 10 minutes only because we know we can see a lot of comments here. I'm sure, Janaki, do some selected most important because within 10 minutes time we won't be able to address all these things. And may I invite the audience here to raise any question if there's any. Agent, issue, or shall we go to the straight away to the yeah. To whom you are directing?
But I have few in the chat room. Nihal here.
Yeah, Nihal, one moment. There is a question from audience. I will give you the chance. Yeah, go ahead.
Ash flow rate is 1 part per million, which is used in the water treatment plant's chlorine dosage, which is very low. Even that, there is a possibility of having a 3000 meter cubic meter volume cavity inside the leakage. So when the leakage continues for another 30 or 20 years, so even at a very favorable circumstances, there is a there is a risk of forming a huge cavity underneath the RB abutments. To avoid that, so we have also prepared a small presentation regarding the sediment transport. So that means what Dr. Jagat said, we must correct this as soon as possible. And we must try to lower the reservoir levels up to 415 meters. So I think Dr. Jagat's plan should be a reality in the future. Otherwise, there will be a catastrophic event in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amit. I'm sure you can submit your write-up to the forum committee to be included. And with your experience in the Kabaragama province, I'm sure. Okay. Yeah.
The solutions together. So even today only I understood the real problem. So if it was open to the General Engineering Forum, even 10 or 20 years ago, the country would have been benefited much more. So I must thank for this your committee and the ISL president for organizing this meeting, even at a later stage. So ultimately the country will be benefited. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Adit. May I invite Engineer Nihal? You wanted to raise some question. Nihal?
Nihal, is that me?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I posted something on the chat room. They never thought it is going 2 hours, so I'm about to go to sleep. But I am little concerned. Both CEB and Sri Lankan National Committee on Large Dam take this deficiency in the dam or abutment. If either of them fail, it will be catastrophic. Very lightly, only looking at mini hydro benefits. Because where is the statistical loss of life? If this fails, I think the water dam break will go 40 to 50 meters, at least 10 meter high. How many people are going to die? And how are you going to put a dollar value or rupee value on those people? Is statistical loss of life. I think, what Kamal and Dr. Jagat has said, because I have worked with a lot of geologists from Turkey, China, with similar things. This is a serious deficiency in the dam, which happened within 5 years since it was built. There was somebody saying on turbidity didn't change. There are dams which turbidity is okay, but they blew up very quickly. It has been shown 3 times, I think. First, when it is 16 meter high, it started baby leak and then increase. This is going to one day increase in size and breach the dam. It's not stability. It's going to be what's called piping or internal failure. So it should be lowered. And first thing is to try plug those sinkholes. I think they are seems to be between 16 meter or 13 meter, and I couldn't understand how the edit G works. It depends on where it has been plugged. So it's a quite serious issue. And at the end, the owner should be held accountable if something like Kantale happens. And so is the Sri Lankan National Committee on Large Dam, because I heard officials are seconded from the government department. So there is no way to sit in duck and, keep on doing studies, whether it is Swedish, Russian, or everybody. This is a deficiency in the dam. It's not planned in the original design. So one day this is going to pipe or internal erosion. Yeah, that's my concern. It all seems to be Dola and the mini hydro, but please not repeat the Kantale again and said, look, we didn't know. There are international dam safety guidelines, and most of you guys are attending those ones as well. So there is a duty of care for all the Sri Lankan professionals. I am sitting on CIV and CODE, Australian National Committee on Large Dams, with piping tools, and we are taking those very seriously, piping incidents. On these ones, as I said, it's build up pressure and then suddenly blow up. Lucky it didn't resulted in a breach so far. There may be some divine intervention, but divinity can't protect you guys every day. So it should be fixed up as soon as possible. Don't worry about running mini hydro develop, because this will kill people. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, there's another question.
That you said you are correct. But 90% of the rate is
Yes. Yes.
Right. So if that is the case, now we are almost at bottom. Reduce another 10 meters or so that it will be lower than the level. Then even before you do anything, you can see that the leak is not there, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So in that case, you don't need to say, you can see a prototype that leak has stopped.
Leak has stopped.
So then you know exactly that this is the reason, and
the reason.
then there is no reason to not to do it, right?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's only a matter of lowering it by another 12 meters as of today. Yeah. Exactly. Actually, I wanted to tell it, but I forgot to mention that. Yes. Yes, actually. Right. Yes, yeah, you can. Right. Okay. Yeah. Actually, the question was.
I mean, it's my technical proposals have a pressure balancing chamber at the outlet and inlet. So, facilitating ready flow, that is the self-compacting concrete entering from the leak holes, plus another additional outlet to completely seal the leak. I mean, it's also possible, but only thing is we'll have to work out the concrete volume first. So volume may be huge sometimes. So we will have to think about different options. I mean, we'll have to get together and work out a plan. So sometimes self-compacting concrete, because there are so many videos. So it's like even a flow rate of 1 cubic meter per second is possible through a small hole even. So even let us say 0.2 cubic meters per second flow rate is quite possible with a large hole. So we'll have to think about that also in the remedial action plan.
Yes, actually, good aspect to be thought of. Yeah, good eye-opening area, right? Actually, I'm not uh, uh, experienced man to talk about answer to give that answer for regarding that concrete type. But only thing I have to tell is other than this edit G, I mentioned that there are two other sinkholes and the potential bottom of the existing Wallaby riverbed. Actually, bottom of the existing Wallaby riverbed has been tried already. So, and it was successful only at block X, and no other success could be obtained so far. So only thing is sinkholes. Sinkhole area, of course, I think it can be simply treated. Even by today, it has already been naturally treated. It has been collapsed, and all the exposed sinkholes have been naturally sealed. Yeah. But as you mentioned, correctly mentioned, that if there are some more, when we lower the reservoir by another 12 meters, so there may be another 10-15 sinkholes will expose. There is a chance. So for that, I think the novel technology can be used with experienced engineers and so on. But luxury may comment on that.
Here the main question is not the treatment methods. We have such places to find out where to apply the treatment. Yes. So once we finalize the many techniques we can do. Actually, pumping concrete or earth, putting blankets with new material. Just no question. We can decide on that. Now we are first trying to establish the mechanism to locate the places. Okay? Then there's a question from Taridu Ayodhya, Engineer Taridu Nagawat. You have posted to me. You know, it's interesting. Yes, he's asking also why we have not asked Russian planners for their advice in solving this matter. A bit political and it's a problem. Actually, the Russians, now there are various myths about
They are having a war there.
yeah, that's true. But at that time, actually, the 60s, Russians did a good job. And
Kamal, may I suggest?
Sorry? Engineer Nihal, yes? Nihal, you want to talk? Oh. Yeah. So the Russians did the initial studies and they prepared the report and gave the initial plans, and they, in their report, they very clearly mentioned about the deep feathering and the caustic features in the right band. That's why they proposed, they want to do further studies. That's why they, in a dam project like this, first thing we do is the diversion tunnels. So that's why they planned the diversion tunnels in the right band. And then, unfortunately, with the political change in the country, Russians had to, the government change. They practicing this our country, so the package ended up and they had to leave. So then finally, after a long time, we got the loans from Japan and UK. So we want to do something new. The investigation, we did not care about the Russian recommendations, and it was decided that, okay, diversion tunnels, why do we put into the difficult ground? Let's do it in the hard rock. It's easy always than soft rock. Difficult ground. So that's what I earlier said. Knowingly or unknowingly we did that. And that's the last chance. I mean, had we followed the Russian the recommendation, we were directly crossing this difficult ground. And at that time, maybe, of course, still this type of ground can be treated. A good example in Thailand, there's a dam, deep feathering like this. It's a different level. They have grouted up to the bottom. Another interesting thing, as young engineers, we also did not understand that time consultants, let's put this off the record, decided 100-meter deep grout curtain. And yes, we thought it's okay. I mean, this is a design requirement, and from the consultants or recommended, but lately only we are understood that that's the maximum capacity the contractor would do. And when we do the check holes, we found the weak down even at levels up to 180 meters. So that's why later then the veteran engineers like Dr. Pudasinghe said, the hanging curtain, the water is going about below the curtain and around the curtain. So there are lots of such decisions also involved in this. And then second question, yeah, why we are not using new technology? Actually, like underwater soda, yes, I mentioned about it, but unfortunately, Dr. Ram, from Sabaragam University, they have modern sonar techniques with that you can get the, even now, they are doing, I think, percent. But those days, we did not have those facilities. But we can use, I think. Thank you.
Guidelines here that is.
That in your presentation you mentioned we have to act within 1 month. Yeah, you gave some time scale. No, thing is this, actually CB is the implementing agency for in this case, and to mobilize a contractor for this work. It's a huge, there's a huge work behind. So first you have to prepare tender document and you have to award tender. You know the government procurement procedure. Without following the government procurement procedure, there's no way to mobilize a contractor for this work. So even assuming all what you have said here is correct, but mobilizing a contractor to this work is actually, I think, your time scale is unrealistic.
Of course, because engineer Kapila Navaratna and others, they are helping a lot. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that they have to say the engineers have to work out that. Yeah. Yeah. But considering actually what I have heard is urgent purchases and all these are being done by CB. Why not? This is also being done like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, talking about the mechanism, this leakage mechanism.
Yeah.
You said one scenario, one series saying one thing, and all in all, that everything happens inside the cavities. So we don't know what is inside. There's an uncertainty. With all that, actually, we have to prepare document. At least to get the quotation. For that, actually, we have to do a lot behind.
Yeah, work, some desk work should be done. Yes, I agree with it. Yeah. But at the,
Yeah, and the thing is actually there are deviations in the emergency situations in the government procurement procedure itself. They have given deviations, so this can be justified as a point. But the thing is now, suppose if some disaster happens, so will the CEB and others going to do the procurement, go through the procurement procedure? Yeah.
But task for you to achieve. You can achieve, that is good.
Let us
But
see.
it's really unrealistic and possible.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you. But what I have done is actually all the estimates, all I have just contacted the 2, 3 contractors I know. So I got the rough estimate from them, and if CB or somebody allows, so they are ready to do it. So I'm being a geologist, I don't know much about procurement and all this. Yeah. And another thing I just wanted to show actually here, this is my master's thesis I did in AIT in 1994. There, the main conclusion is also the passage through edit G, abandoned access edit, may facilitate a considerable contribution to the main leakage. And apart from passage through edit G, there is unlikely to exit a major ingress point. So that has been clearly pointed out in 1994. Yeah. So it is already 29 years back. So at the authorities, actually this thesis also have been submitted to CEB. Had the authorities taken this serious, this would have saved the same amount of money spent for construction of this Samanalawewa Dam. That time I had very little proofs, evidence to prove that, but now because of CEB has given us a assignment, so we have now enough evidences to prove that.
You think because of this leak, actually, there is a standing order issued by the CEB to restrict the operation level. At the moment, the maximum level we can go is 455. That means 5 meters below full supply level. So if we can get seal the leak and do some mitigation for the leak, we can get that amount of energy. So I think that has to be also, I don't know whether that has been calculated. Uh, the moment the operation levels are restricted. So that is why we have given consultancy to the University of Paradina to relieve the operation levels and give the recommendations to give the recommendations what we have to do. Yeah, we can raise, and if we are going to raise, what type of monitoring and advancements of monitoring what we can do. So that is why Dr. Jagat and the team is working there during the previous months, and they have working on it.
Actually, yes, in 2019, with the recommendations of me, actually, by that time, DGM, Mr. Somatilaka, took me there to Samanalawewa and asked to study it at least in 2019, October, November, December. So during that time, the spillways were to be opened because the reserve level has already come up to 455 meter level. So if they cannot raise the reservoir level, water has to be released through the spillway. So without releasing during the 2 months, November, December, as I was informed, CB could generate power worth of 2,000 million rupees. 2,000 million, 2 billion, 2 billion rupees power has been generated. If that advice, or if we could, I remember all the engineers came to Ratnapura, CB office, and we have to convince them that there is no problem. We can raise the reservoir level at that time in 2019. But the condition today is little different. If according to, if no mitigation measures are being done, I am doubt whether we can fill the reservoir even up to 455 meter level. So because of the conditions have been changed. So that's how.
Can I just okay. I understand there's a cabinet decision somewhere in 2021, if I recall, to lower the reservoir, do the investigations, and apply the remedial measures. Why are you waiting for? Why are we waiting for? We have got a green light from the cabinet. Before they change their mind, let's do it. Number one. Number two, the time is already 8:30. Why don't you conclude?
Okay, well, we are going to conclude. Shall we conclude very much for reminding that cabinet paper, I don't know whether it is still valid. Anyway, we will conclude the discussion here. Thank you very much, everyone. And the formal lot of thanks will be delivered by Engineer Janaki Vigastana. You all. On behalf of the Water Forum, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for being part of this event, this important panel discussion on remedial measures for the leakage at Samanalawewa Reservoir. Today, your presence and active participation have made this event truly meaningful. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Kamal Laksiri and Professor Jagat Gunatilaka, and all presenters from relevant agencies who have shared their valuable insights and concern with us today. Your knowledge and wisdom have enriched our understanding and inspired us to think beyond boundaries. Water Forum ISL is truly grateful for your contribution. I would also like to thankful for all attendees who have taken the time out their busy schedules to present here, including Honorable State Minister Dr. Suresh Raghuwan, Dr. Samanalawewa Leakage, Engineer Aruppala, Director of Irrigation Colombo, and representatives from Mahaweli Authority came far away from Walaway, and all other presenters. I would also like to a special mention of gratitude goes our organizing team for Samanalawewa 14th September panel WhatsApp group, who carefully planning and hard work have made this panel discussion possible. Your dedication and attention to detail have ensured the smooth execution of this event. I cannot forget to acknowledge the support of the IESL President, Chairperson of Civil Engineering Sectional Committee, Chairperson of Water Forum, and CEO have played a crucial role in making this meeting reality. Your generosity and belief in our cause are deeply appreciated. Last but not least, let us not forget the acknowledged heroes behind the scenes and ISL technical and administrative staff who have worked to ensure that everything runs shamelessly. As we wrap up this panel discussion, let us carry forward the knowledge, outcome, decisions, and insights gained here today and apply them to final achievement. Your presence and active participation have made this discussion success, and for that we are truly thankful. Finally, I kindly invite you all to join the dinner at
new building. Thank you. Yes, members, sir. Thank you. Good night.